Hi, this is Mike from Minimal 3DP, and today I'm doing a quick video based on a question I received regarding Orca Slicer. I'm going to look at what we need to do if your printer isn't listed in one of the available profiles, and how do we fix that? How do we add our own profiles? So let's go ahead and get started. To start creating my own profile, I'm just going to go up here to Printer, and you'll see this little gear. So we're going to hit that gear. And this brings up the wizard. So I have two choices right now. And very top, luckily, is the custom printer. Is my printer running Klipper or is it running Marlin, both of which have slightly different configurations? In the case of the question I was asked, it was based off of an Ender 7. I believe the Ender 7 is running generic Marlin, so we can select that. It's generic Marlin and hit confirm. I'm going to discard my settings I have going here. And right now this has brought up the generic printer. And we'll go ahead and work setting this all up. So as we can see up here in the corner, we have this new printer profile. I'm just going to click this. Let's do some minor updates. First thing I want to do is let's rename this. So I'm just going to call this Ender 7 Custom. And I like to select unique names, so that way if I play with this profile in the future, I still have a copy of it. With my profile renamed, I'm just going to hit OK. Again, it says Ender 7 Custom. And let's go ahead and change the print area. So I'm going to open this up. Let me scroll over to my web browser and we'll take a look at what this should be set at. So looking at the size, bed, roll up here to this review I was looking at. Better yet, go to here. So it's 250 by 250 by 300. Let's go back over to my profile. The 250 by 250, that's all correct. And that actually looks good. Click OK. Printable height, as we just mentioned, was 300. So let's change that. That's good. I'm going to change this over to Marlin 2. Usually upgrade that. Let's just look down here. Everything else looks okay. I'm going to go over to the G code real quick. On the start code for this printer, by default, the Ender 7 doesn't come with a BL Touch or a bed leveling sensor. If it did, right after this G28, I could add a G29 command. The G29 command is the G code command to run the bed leveling. Personally, I usually run a bed level every time I print. That way, I'm just grabbing the most current level information for the bed. There are other ways to use, I believe, an M420 command, which saves the last mesh you made with your automatic bed leveling and uses that. I prefer just to run the bed leveling with every print. It doesn't bother me that extra amount of time. Right now, looking through all this, everything else I believe is okay. So we're just going to save this. So now I have the basic configuration for the printer saved. I'm going to close that. Then in my case, let's go ahead and just create a profile for the filament. We're going to create a unique profile for the printer, the filament, and then the printer settings. That way, when we do retraction tests and all that good stuff, we can have the flow rate set specifically for this machine. So I'm going to rename this Ender 7 ELA. Hit OK. And then I could go through here and change all of my settings to match what I need for PLA. In my case, I prefer on my first layer to do 110 and then all other layers at 205. And I typically use the bed at 65 degrees. I'm just changing that real quick. I've changed that. And all other settings here, I'm going to look through them really quickly. Probably just going to leave these as is. Yeah, I'm just going to leave those as is. Hit save. And then lastly, I need to create a profile for just the print settings. So I'm going to call this Ender 7 Standard. And this will let me set all the specific settings that I want to use for my standard print profile. So I'm just going to start over here on quality. Now I do, and I've shown this in previous videos, typically I do 0.2 unless the print requires something different. And usually that's in the description if you're using Thingiverse or printables. My first layer, typically do 0.32. My default line width across the board, I typically start with 0.5 on everything. Again, that gives me a speed boost, and I haven't really noticed a massive change in quality. This is what works for me. I've just changed that. And I'm just going to scroll down here. I'm going to turn on arc fitting. And keep scrolling down and just look at everything. Right now, everything looks okay. So I'm going to hit save and then go to the next tab here. So on strength, I typically like to do 3 wall loops. So that's fine. I'm going to leave the top shells at 4, the shell thickness at 0.8, and I'm going to do bottom shells. I usually do the bottom shells equal to the top shells. So I'm going to put that to 4. That might slow things down a little bit, but I think I'll be okay. On my infill pattern, I usually do adaptive cubic or just cubic, either one of those. I'll do cubic in this case. Looking good. Everything else here, I'm just going to leave as is. I'm going to save again and then go to the next tab. Now you'll notice, why do I keep saving every time? That way if I mess something up, something crashes, I always have my previous settings saved. So on speed, now let's go back over to our specifications for this printer. I go over here to Creality's website. And let's see if I can spot this here. So a high of 250 millimeters per second print speed. I have a little trouble believing that. So what I'm going to do is do the print speed, the initial print speed at 100. Infill, I'll do that at 100 as well. Number of soil layers, I'll do 2. Outer wall, I'm going to do 100. Inner wall, I'm going to do 150. Sparse infill, I'll do 150. Internal solid infill, I'm going to do 150. And again, this is slower than the advertised speed, but you could go ahead and run tests on your printer and try to figure out what's the ideal speed. That's something I would recommend on any printer. Testing to see what looks the best. I'm just guessing here with this printer since I don't have it. 100 for the top surface and 150 for the gap infill. Like I said, this is more based on the fact that I don't know particularly what this printer will look like. All of these next ones are percentages, so we'll leave that as is. Travel, I'm going to bump up to 200. Acceleration here, bump these up to 2000. Again, if I had this printer, I'd run some tests to see exactly what this would need to look like. So again, I think I'm satisfied with that. I'm going to hit save. Go to support. And I usually enable support initially just so I can change some things. Change the threshold angle up to 60. Or better yet, let's do it 50. It's a little less aggressive. I typically want build plate only, so I'm just going to check that. Everything else looks okay. So I'm just going to hit save. And let me turn off support. Save that again. And then let's just go to other. So skirt loops, I usually do a skirt. So I'm going to do 2 loops. Skirt distance, I want this bigger than what's here. I'm going to do 8. And that should give me a skirt around my print that's wider than print so I can see it. Let's do this at 75 for the skirt speed. Rim type is automatic. I'll leave that as is. Everything else looks good here. I'm going to save that. Then let's go to notes. So there's nothing else here to do. Now I've just created this profile. Let's slice this model. As you can see, this is saying it should take about 52 minutes. So that's actually fairly good and speedy. What I would do is after I've created this initial profile, I'd start running some tests to see what it looks like. One of the first things to check is where does it start the initial print? Is it in the middle of the bed? If it's not, then you're going to need to make some adjustments, figure out where things need to be. But this is my process for creating an initial profile, and the same steps hold true for both Cura and Orca Slicer as well. If anybody has any questions, please post them below. In my next video, I will be covering the calibration tests in Orca Slicer so we can take a look through those. Thank you. I hope you have a great day. Bye. This is Mike from Minimal 3DP, and I want to thank you for joining me today. If you have any questions or comments, please post them below. If you need some additional help, I've also posted some links in the video description. You can set up a 15-minute help session with me, and I'm more than happy to sit down with you and see if I can help you out. If you need some additional help, I'm also going to try doing 1-hour sessions for anybody that's interested. And like I said, I'm testing this stuff out. I want to thank you again for joining me, and I look forward to talking to you again next time. Thanks. Have a good day.